Hey everybody, it's me, Remy, the comic book poser, and today I'm here to welcome you to Enter the Poserverse. It looks a little different in here, but it's because I'm not at home in my basement where I normally record videos, that today you're getting some planning period goodness straight from the classroom. So, read a bunch of books last week. It's Monday. You know what time it is. It's time to figure out what my top picks of the week are from last week's New Comic Book Day, so you can pick them up on this week's New Comic Book Day and find out what my top 5 are after this.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Before we talk about my top picks for this week, a couple of big announcements. Number one, we passed 500 thanks to everybody who's subscribed to the channel, people who have pushed to help me get subscribers, people who watch my content on a regular basis. After starting to take this seriously in June, I never thought I would have more than, 100. So here we are, and I appreciate it. That being said, my 500 subscriber giveaway, your ability to exit the Poserverse, ends this upcoming Sunday, the 8th of November. Shit, what month is it? Yeah, it's November already. This Sunday, November 8th at 5 p.m. Central, or 6 o'clock Eastern, or 4 Mountain and 3 if you live on the West Coast. I'm not good at time zones. The second thing is dropping on Instagram today. I am unleashing my first run of comic book mystery boxes on the world. I am calling it the Poser Pile. They're $35 shipped, and you can find the link to all of the details in the description below or on my Instagram. So with that out of the way, let's talk books. And no, I'm trying to limit myself to a top 5. Last week, I had 2 honorable mentions with 7 books. This week, couldn't limit myself down to 5, but I got a little bit better at 6. So my honorable mention, or coming in at number 6, whichever I decide to flash in and put on the doodad at the bottom, from Image Comics is Undiscovered Country number 9 by Snyder Soul, Kim Coley, and other people who I can't read because it's a little blurry. And I'm a lot tired because I was up until 2 running that impromptu auction last night. But this book is fantastic in terms of understanding maybe what has started shaping the reality that the United States has morphed into, that our party of adventurers has landed in Unity, which is this technological utopia. But one of the things that we find is that the people of Unity have the ability, through either cybernetic technology that's embedded in them, or one of the people in the group get to do, they put something on their finger and touch those white thready things that shoot out of the ground. They can manipulate reality, and you see a dope satellite van come out of nowhere, and it's a fully functional form of transportation. The other thing that we start to see is kind of a understanding of the conflict between the Uncle Sams that we have seen show up, and Destiny Man, who I'm still jealous that he's got, all of the different horns that he can alternate in and out from his get up. But I think it's quite interesting. The big reveal, 6 pages into the book, is the parents that are found in Unity are actually not fully alive, that they are a manifestation of reality via computer programming, their memories that are put together to kind of help add some context to what's going on for the brother and sister team that lead the party. And they finally get to share the second half of their message that never made it to their daughter. And holy crap, as we make it through the last several pages of the book and we learn more about the technology, we watch what's going down between Unity Man and Destiny Man and Uncle Sam. I know this book has not been in my top picks consistently, but I have loved this book from start to finish. That It's something that I want to constantly go back and reread each time a new trade volume comes out. I want to kind of sit through and binge everything to see if we find some additional little clues. But this starts to offer some great maybe context as to why we've seen America evolve into this weird, like, bifurcated place that it's become. Coming in at number 5, Philadelphia, number 9, by Rodney Barnes, J. Sean Alexander, and Luis NCT on colors. This book is also awesome. This focuses on the Charlie Brown moment that happens in book 8, where Sangster Jr. Unearths Sangster Sr. as he's finally getting to meet his wife in the afterlife again, and he's just pissed the whole time and very passive aggressive that apparently they can't solve vampire shit without him. But this starts to add some depth to one of the characters that showed up consistently throughout the first arc, but we didn't have a lot of background information on, and that's Brittany, one of the 2 younger women that we discover in the first arc, that she was born of slavery, that she's not, some new convert, that she is as old as the Adamses are. And we get a lot of kind of depth into the impact of slavery and servitude on her life, but also who she was tied to throughout life. And there are some really interesting kind of plays on John Adams and another prominent historical figure from the time that plays off of some of like the heartstrings, romanticized notions of the way that we think about both of these men in a very interesting way. We also get more depth into the background of Jupiter, who I think is one of the most terrifying creatures that we have seen. And the last thing that I'll show is we finally get to see the investigation of the murder of the governor. And I think this book is good. It's just witty in terms of the banter between the Sangsters and then any of the other detectives who show up. It's really, really cool in terms of looking at the depth of Brittany, but then also starting to look at Abigail Adams's master plan. That really, this is the first book of the second arc that's not just sheer chaos, that we're starting to see what the potential end game for the new Adams vampire clan is. The other thing that I thought was really cool is I really like Elysium Gardens, the short story that is showing up in the back of the issues. But it took an issue off, and we're seeing some different art from J. Sean Alexander throughout the back, and I really liked that. I thought that was quite cool. So those extra 4 or 5 pages on the back end of different kind of art that's still in his kind of signature disorienting, haunting style is very, very awesome to see. Coming in at number 4, from Vault Comics, Vault Comics, but Nightfall is the imprint. It's the autumnal number 2. I didn't talk about number 1 when it came out because I didn't order it before FOC, and my shop didn't order any, but like I said in the last video, Cole from Comic Burrito sent me a copy, and I was instantly hooked to the first storyline. Here, we start to see the plight of the mother and daughter after the funeral, that we've learned that once they get to the hometown of her dead mother, that they've got nowhere to stay, so they are chilling by a park at night in the rain, and someone very kindly offers them a car, and then very subtly is like, you should use it to get the F out of town. After the mother is buried, and again, nobody is there for the graveside service, or she missed it. We don't know which really has happened because she's chronically late like myself. But we learn that she gets the keys to her mother's home, and here's where we really start to see some of the hostility either towards this woman and her daughter because of who the mom was in the town, or if it's just hostility towards the outsiders who don't understand, their drive to do yard work, which we're still waiting on understanding the significance of everybody constantly raking, that we know the leaves and trees are a significant theme. We've seen it kind of play off of what happens to the dead grandmother twice, and that final panel really makes you go, ooh, what the hell is going to happen? And it makes me want to know if there's going to be a bigger conflict between the two players involved. So if you haven't checked out Autumnal at all, you should. It is fantastic, and it is another dope book from Vault Comics. Coming in at number 3, another Image book. It is Department of Truth number 2 by James Tynion and friends. This book does a lot of the same things that the first did. We are learning still more of an unmasking of what is true or false, and it all starts in the context of an interview with a child about like experiences with creepy things or like Satanism at preschool, and it starts to kind of zero in on a more specific conspiracy theory than the first one, and it's all of that coverage from like the late 80s, early 90s, when people started actually giving a shit about child abuse and investigating claims that like preschools were converting kids to like Satanism and devil worship. So it's interesting to see the relationship between the conspiracy theory that they zone in on and the new guy who was recruited to the Department of Truth. I again think Simmons's art in this book is fantastic because it's all about creating these reality distortions that make us question our understanding of what is real or what is going on, in a way that the characters would be kind of disoriented as well, right, as they are experiencing the glitch in the Matrix and having to understand or question their very understanding of reality. Coming in at number 2, and I'm still not sure if I'm putting it in the right spot or not, but it's confidently number 2 for now. The Last Ronin from IDW, some Eastman, Laird, and friends goodness. I like this book. I will admit that I have only read the occasional reprint of some of Eastman and Laird's original run on Ninja Turtles, but I can confidently say that even if you have not been a Ninja Turtles reader, as long as you know who the Ninja Turtles are and you're aware of like long-standing groups that have existed in the Ninja Turtles universe, like the Foot Clan, or you know who other key players are like Shredder, who gets referenced in here, you're going to be okay. I like the book. I said on my blog post, in terms of dealing with all of the shit with IDW short selling this to retailers, that I'm not going to go into a lot of depth since a lot of people might not get to read this until December 2nd when the second printing comes out. I know I broke my vow on that a little bit when I was on Two Brothers on Saturday night, but I think everybody was aware that there was going to be Turtle Talk, and the people who didn't want things kind of spoiled disappeared. So for those of you who haven't gotten or missed out on a copy of Last Ronin number 1 because everywhere ran out, then check in with me on December 2nd when that second printing drops, and we'll talk about it then. So if the most hyped book of last week, maybe rivaling that of The End of the Joker War, comes in at number 2, then what possibly could I have selected to be number 1? From Vault Comics, Giga number 1. This was one of the things that I talked about in my previews video from last week, that I'm kind of interested in some of these like mech societies, or like, you know, I talked a little bit about Mech Warriors, Gundam, and things like that, and Tapia gave me a good recommendation of a Netflix series to check out. But this one is pretty interesting. The author is Alex Pankadel, the artist is John Lee, the colorist is Roche, and the letterer is Aditya Badikar. It is interesting in terms of looking at the impact of the Giga in our society, or in their society. So if you look at the first couple 3 pages, you see a priest essentially teaching the cluster of new recruits to some kind of organization about the Giga, about these giant mechs, in a godlike fashion, right? That they fought and settled down, but they allow us to live inside of them. And then we discover, like, something explodes, and it's a question of what happened, right? These Giga are functionally dormant technological organisms, but it appears in the beginning as if someone either intentionally sabotages the machinery, if there was an attack on some of the machinery, and we're dealing with the fallout or repercussions of that. I like how kind of quoted a couple of times throughout the book is, and I'm sorry, I don't have my ring light, that's why everything is going to show up grainy. They quote the Book of Assembly like it because it's their religious text that explains everything about these giant mechs, these Giga that control the civilization. And then the bulk of the storyline jumps 13 years into the future after the events from the first couple of pages, where we meet some people like scrapping to get food rations. It feels like the beginning of Star Wars episode, 7? But you are seeing the main character, who I think it's awesome that the main character in this book is somebody who is in a wheelchair, someone that's got, both of their legs have been amputated. But they are starting to explore the bigger impact of the mech on the society, and there's some questions being asked about what's going on in the world that causes some flashbacks to some of the things that we saw in the first couple of pages. But I like how you can kind of see from the beginning how, housing and that kind of stuff has evolved onto the bodies of these Giga. And as we start to learn that something is afoot and we meet a new character, well, I guess they're all new characters, but as we have a new or a hidden character revealed to us in the last couple of pages, it really starts to connect the dots between the events of the first couple of pages and what may be happening in the future. So I thought that book was quite good. It was one of the ones that I was kind of anticipating to read based on the source material, the description and previews, and I definitely think it stuck the landing. I was a big fan of it. What do you think? Are there books that I read that I don't talk about in the top 5? Are there things that you want to chat about? Let me know down in the comments below. Remember, you've got 6 days left to enter the 500 subscriber giveaway to do the exit room to escape the Poserverse. And if you need some clues, go back and look at last Tuesday's poll list video, and you'll see some answers pop up on the screens throughout. That way, if you don't have the full time, you've got a couple of answers to the different letter and number locks to help you escape the Poserverse. So, I gotta get ready to teach class now. We're gonna talk about the Electoral College today. Yay. So as always, thanks for stopping by. Have a good one.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.